Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, if you were ever interested in investing in real estate, this is the episode that you need to listen to. My friend Ryan is going to drop some serious knowledge bombs. Not only is he a combat veteran, he's a vetrepreneur, and he's also, if I have any questions about real estate investing, he's the guy that I go to. He's changing the game of real estate investing. So, Ryan, brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Richard. I really appreciate it. You're such a great influence to so many other veterans and all of your listeners. So thank you for inviting me here today.
Oh, it's my honor. So before I forget, because I have traumatic brain injury, if I don't ask the question, I forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
So resiliency, I look at resiliency as a bouncy ball. So, right, you're up here, you're killing it, you're doing amazing in life, and then the ball drops. Now, it's your ability to bounce back up. That's the way that I look at resiliency.
All right, I love it. So, give us a quick down and dirty, where'd you come from, where'd you grow up, and tell us a little bit about your military service.
Yeah, I come from O'Fallon, Missouri. That's where I grew up. And I love the Army, right? I was a little bit of a disgruntled kid and joined United States Army Infantry, Air Assault, 112th Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Hood, Texas. I mean, I did great. I made E5 in 3 years. I was first time go Air Assault, did a year in combat. Like, what a great experience in 4.5 years. Like, I couldn't have had a better run in that short of a contract. So that changed my life. I just knew I was tired of checking my bank account. And our time, right? You know how much time is taken away from us in the military, but I'm very thankful for it, folks, and it did change my life. So that's my background. Grew up in O'Fallon, Missouri, joined the United States Army Infantry, served 4.5 years, and then moving forward, we can go from there. Do you want to continue on?
So tell me a little bit about, let's hop back in the Wayback Machine. Did you always want to join the military, and what made you join the branch that you did?
Okay, so I never considered the military prior to it coming into my mind. I just knew that. So my dad was told by Chrysler, hey, you have to move to Indiana and finish out your career, or you're going to have to take $300,000 in a brand new truck. He only had like 3 years to retirement. So did he make the right choice? Yes. I just knew I wasn't moving to Indiana. I mean, what a boring state. But anyways, I was like, I got to do something big with my life right now. I'm going to join the military. I first went into the Marines. Oh, you got an assault on your record. Sorry, can't take you. Then I went into the Navy. They were like, go to the Army. And the Army made some things happen for me. And the only job that I wanted was to fight. It's just, I don't know, it's just who I am, right? So for the Marines, it would obviously be, maybe I'd look at Marine Recon, the Navy, whenever I went in there. I first went in there, brother. I was like, I want to be a SEAL. And then I went into the Army and I was like, look, I'm going to be an infantryman. I want to fight. So they told me what that was. And that's the route that I took.
All right. So you obviously, 11 Bravo, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Did you go to Benning?
Yeah, buddy. I love Benning.
All right. So now, you said you took to the military really quick, but you did 4 years, which I never say only, because anybody that even did a day raising their hand, they're heroes in my book. But so you do your 4 years. Were you planning to get out, and how far before you got out did you start planning?
So whenever I came back from Iraq in 2011, end of 2011, you couldn't tell soldiers to even do push-ups anymore. So being in the infantry, that is just a super red flag that things are going south, right? Every smoke session that I had to go through, I deserved. So I just knew that the Army was going to become something different. And lo and behold, I did make a great decision to get out. My decision was based off of, they told me after a school that I was going to, Ranger School, after I come back from that, I would have to owe my unit another year. And for all of you soldiers, you know that whenever you're at Fort Hood, it's like a black hole. So my only conditions were, hey, I have to go to a different duty station. They called me in last minute. Hey, Sergeant Dodge, we're able to make everything work, except you're going to have to come back and owe your unit another year. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I got to get out. I had fun here. I loved it, but it was time to move on to something else. I was only 24, 23.
All right. So now let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously, you've been overseas. We don't talk about stuff like that because that stuff. But like Sergeant Nick from our group, guys. If you guys don't know the Vetprenuer Tribe, you guys need to join the tribe. If you're a veteran entrepreneur, you need to join the tribe. But Sergeant Nick, that we all know from our group, he says that once you step off base, the military doesn't give a shit about you. Your phone stops ringing. You don't have the camaraderie and you don't have a mission. And a lot of us struggle with their transitioning. So what was your transitioning like?
It was horrible. I went from leading the small amount of troops that I was leading to leading my couch and completely lost my sense of purpose. It was bad. I did not expect it at all whatsoever. So I started leading my couch and video games. It was the worst time of my life, essentially, whenever I got out for that first, I'm going to say probably 8 months. It was bad for me.
Okay, so before we even get, because I want to dig a little bit deeper, before we go any further, I want to thank our sponsors. As you can see down below, the Warrior Council is sponsoring today's show. Thank you, Marshall Terran. Guys, if you're a business owner, you need to be in the Warrior Council, because
I agree.
It's the best group going, and it's the best mastermind I know, because veterans, a lot of us, we all think alike, and we all know how to help each other and get each other motivated. So definitely check out the Warrior Council on Facebook, join the Vetprenuer Tribe. Also, if you guys are worried about keeping your computers, your phones bug-free and virus-free, definitely check out Daniel Curry at Indy's IT department. He keeps all of our computers, everything running. He also hosts our podcast. So if you want anything hosted, he'll also do that for you, especially if you're a veteran. So check out Indy's IT department with Daniel Curry. So now, talk to us, because... Can
I make a comment, brother, on the Warrior?
Yeah.
Can I make a comment on the Warrior Council?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So you guys, the beauty of the Warrior Council is that it could be just one sentence whenever you're masterminding with us that changes everything for you. That's the beauty of masterminds. Whenever you're masterminding with your battle buddies and you're really getting vulnerable and you're really just putting it out there, it'd be one sentence that comes out of somebody else's mouth that changes everything for you and your business.
I love it. And I'm taking pages of notes every time we have our meetings on Thursdays. So guys, I love the Warrior Council. I've been in the Vet Tribe almost from the beginning. And if you guys are a veteran, you definitely need to, and want to be an entrepreneur, definitely join the Vet Tribe, because Marshall is doing some amazing things in the Vet Tribe. So now, there's a difference between being in a ditch, and getting out of that ditch. So how did you go about getting your ass up off the couch, putting the video game away, and how did you start reimagining and reinventing your life?
So my story goes on with college, and that was worthless to me. And I just found out that I was interested in real estate investing, because Texas is a very private state with our land, and I wanted a place to hunt. I met my wife down here, so I'm stuck down here. And then so as I was dreaming, right, I didn't have the money to buy it. I was dreaming, just looking through Craigslist. I got all my certifications to be a licensed real estate agent, because I'm like, oh, I like real estate. And then after 8 weeks, I'm like, wait a minute, I would just be representing buyers and sellers. That doesn't make me the boss. And so I'm like, I got to be that guy that owns properties, that like profits off of properties. I didn't even know what a real estate investor was, brother. But I went back that night to Austin, Texas, where this attorney, this slimy attorney, was pitching a 4-day boot camp for $8,000. I'm sitting there like, we can take notes, right, brother? We could take notes fast. But not that fast. Come on now. 4 days, $8,000. No freaking way. And so I was butthurt about real estate investing education. It's a cutthroat industry. I'm like, how am I going to do this? There's so much fake it to make it. I found this ad about this group that I'm with now, and I got my sense of purpose back within the first year. I still lead troops now. It's just on a different battlefield. We're killing the designed ignorance in America. And what makes me happy is whenever I get a thank you. Whenever people like this girl, Veronica Cuevas on my team, picks up 7 short-term rentals within her first year, experiencing $14,000 months, that is my why now. That's what makes me so happy, is whenever I get to serve individuals like her. She's a stay-at-home mom, 2 kids under 3, military spouse. I just chase the thank you. And that's the same thing, Richard, with distressed sellers, right? I just chase the thank you. There's so many times where I help a distressed seller in real estate and they're like, Ryan, how much do I owe you? I'm like, nothing. Just whenever somebody else has a problem, put my name in the hat. And so it just fulfills my sense of purpose and my why, and you build generational wealth along the way, but you do have to be careful in your decisions of how you're going to get started, because a brain surgeon does not go do brain surgery after watching YouTube. Okay.
All right. So then, one of my first guests ever, they actually wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that was the first book I ever bought for business. And I've got all the purple books, but the best thing I learned from those books were your house is not an asset. Your house is a bank's asset. And even after you pay it off, your house is still not an asset until you make it an asset. So please talk to us a little bit about some of the misconceptions about real estate and owning your own home, and why people should be interested in buying 2-family, 4-family duplexes, and also buildings, because we all know that right now the economy is going to shit. More people are renting than ever, so it would only make more sense to buy rental properties, right?
Right. So home is an asset. Just so you guys know, me and Richard have brain problems. Like 3.5 years ago, I had 2 seizures and a stroke and brain cancer, and they pulled out a tennis-sized tumor. So I'm going back to your first question, Richard, just so I don't forget it. Your home is an asset. I've never been asked this ever, and I love it. Okay. So this is my first time answering this. I always thought it was weird whenever other people said that. But think about this. All right, so this home right here, real estate has gotten me into a lake house in Marble Falls, Texas. That's paid for free and clear. Now, how could you look at this as an asset? Appreciation, right? The biggest hit that real estate's ever taken back in 2008, 2009 was 15% decrease in overall value. Now, if you look at the stock market, what's the largest hit the stock market's ever taken? So it's safe to say that real estate definitely appreciates. And every once in a while, there's a hiccup along the way. Not like stocks, though. So you're building appreciation in your home. What is the definition of an asset? That's something that makes you money, right? Pretty sure. Yeah. So is your equity, right? That's money. And you could pull that equity out through a tool such as a HELOC, not a home equity loan, a home equity line of credit. And then use that home equity line of credit to maybe get into the next rental property and the next rental property. And to get on to your next question, as far as the asset thing, there's a few different ways to look at it. I think that's a great question, but it's just what lens do you view that through? What lens do you view that through? Is the answer to that question. Okay, but rental properties, did that suffice, Richard?
No, it perfectly makes sense. And the only reason why I'm asking that is because I had another friend of mine last week. He was on, and he says, a lot of people out there shit on the VA loan, but he says he knows a lot of people that have bought a 4-plex with a VA loan, and they're living in one side, making money off the other 3 places, and they're actually making money because they're using it as a business and not just as a place to live.
Right. Now, so those types of strategies are like the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. Like I skipped that phase, went right over it. A lot of 4-plex numbers don't work. That's pretty common knowledge in real estate investing. Not that they all don't work. It's just a lot of 4-plexes numbers do not work. And it could be a minimum wage. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying it's a very, 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 very slow process to build wealth that way. Can you make money from a mortgage? Yes, you totally can. I have a friend, and Richard's friend as well, Chris Griffith. He's really good at positioning that in your mind to where you can make money with mortgages. It's just whenever you're an active investor like me and you're consistently out there doing deals, you really don't have time for a mortgage. Yeah, these are distressed sellers. So to bring up rental properties, that is the number one thing to hedge against inflation, right? Because inflation rises, what comes with it? The rents. The rents rise too. It's literally the number one way to combat inflation. Because you guys, whenever you have money sitting in your bank account, you're just losing buying power every single day. You got to put it in a vehicle. And the tax write-offs that come along with that, Richard, whenever somebody is structured correctly, as a W-2 employee, you're only entitled to roughly 15 plus or minus types of write-offs available to you per year. Now, a business owner, you just open up the door to 300 plus or minus. Real estate investor, even more. All right. So that's why business ownership is the key to financial freedom. And it just happens to be that real estate investing is the number one vehicle to get to that financial freedom the quickest possible. Next to being a music artist, actor, and actress.
And, and I love that, also a lot of people don't realize that, even McDonald's is the number one real estate owner in the world, because if you own a McDonald's, you don't own the property. You just own the building. McDonald's actually owns the land. So if they're owning land and they're the biggest landowners in the world, we should be doing the same. And like Robert and Sharon from Rich Dad said, they're not making any more land. So get what you can get. But now, like we're talking, today's Monday. I think it's May 1st or something. The market's really, really volatile at this moment. So what are your plans in the next, 30 to 60 days with the market being so volatile? What are your thoughts on the real estate market now?
So the real estate market is not as volatile as people think. It was a little scary a few years back. I mean, heck, but at the same time, Richard, it doesn't matter what market you're in, you can make money in real estate. Now, whether or not it's a little harder or not is a different story. Because if there was any investor in anybody's life a year ago, whenever we were about, let's say a year into COVID, if anybody tells you that they're killing it more than ever, that's a lie. Or they just did 0 deals the year before and then picked up 1 during that time. Like, I mean, I don't know any friends that I have that killed it more than ever right after that first year in COVID. Now, that whole the only reason that was happening right there is the government was leading everybody to believe that they are their savior. But lo and behold, here comes the banks after a few years pass. They're giving some people some leniency, but so much they were giving people enough rope to hang themselves, to create bad habits, to be like, oh, I don't have to pay this mortgage. And then it all came crashing down on them. So our foreclosure list here has increased by 76% since this time last year. So that gives us the ability to help a lot of people. I mean, we've done 4 deals this month. If you look at my lead generation over the past 8 years, we're just off the charts right now. So I'm confident in the real estate market. I could do a fix and flip right now. You just need to prepare yourself for a shift in the market. Like these folks a few years ago, they didn't really prepare. Well, last year, let's say, they didn't really prepare for a shift in the market, right? So then they went from this crazy hot market to now where there's a little bit more days on market, and we're changing over to a buyer's market. So that means that, well, the buyer can be more picky in what they choose. They can negotiate more. And so you've seen a lot of agents pulling down their listings, especially in Austin, Texas, because they're used to that listing just flying off the shelf. And now it's sitting for 30 days and they're like, something's wrong here. We got to pull this thing down. Or they start doing a bunch of price changes when really all of those agents, all they had to do was just let it sit there. The days on market, right? You always got to look at the days on market. And it's just you have to shift with the market. Now, there's artificial variables that can happen in real estate. Back in 2008, 2009, do you think that would have happened if it wasn't for some genius coming up with these subprime loans? It would have never have happened. Who did that? People, right? What about right now? What is going on right now that I find interesting is that people with good credit are being punished and have to pay a higher interest rate for a home versus the individuals that have a little bit of lower credit score. They get some leniency. That is encouraging bad behavior. Is that smart? No,
Nope.
Absolutely not. So those are little things that you have to watch out for. But if you're picking up, let's say a fix and flip right now at 70% of what it's worth, minus the repairs, that's a common formula, you're safe. All right, as long as everything is, all the numbers are good to go, or like you know what you're doing. If you pick this property up 70% after repair value minus repairs, that would be a good common knowledge formula for everybody here to know that they're safe. But we like to pick up properties 60, 50, 40, 30% of ARV. Sometimes I have people give me their house subject to existing financing because I'm their better option versus the next 10 years of their life getting wrecked credit-wise.
All right. So now, you know, you've been in the game long enough, and like I believe that people should really study analytics. They should study history because, you know, as soon as like I have my brother was looking to buy a house in New Jersey, and he got outbid by like 6 times by over 200,000 over asking.
That's not happening right now.
It was stupid what people were doing. But now, like you said, you know, now we're getting back to the correction, and everything has a correction if you study your history. But I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to history or their analytics until they get shot in the foot, until they got to look at their analytics. But now let me ask you a question, because you've been in the game so long. Let's go back to the first deal you've ever did. If you could, what have you learned from day one till now that you wish you would have known back then? And you don't have to go into specifics.
That it's not as scary as you think. Real estate is very intimidating for a lot of people, and especially that first deal. All right. And so once the floodgates open, whenever you guys start doing deals, it's going to be the easiest money that you ever made with a lot of gratification, right? Whenever you get those thank yous from distressed sellers and whatnot. So it's definitely become the easiest money I've ever made. However, the first few deals, just getting your foot into the door, that's scary. And knowing what I know now, I should have not been had that much anxiety, had, you know, that much stress. Like I didn't need to go about it that way. It was just simply scary. You don't need to, it's not as scary as you think, folks. The numbers never lie.
And that's something I definitely agree with. The market never lies. But sometimes, you know, you might have to kiss a few frogs before you kiss the princess. So I'm sure you have to, when you're first starting out, you have to look at a lot of properties and not just pick up the first property that you see, right?
Yeah, so I got forced into my first deal. So talking about real estate investing coming into my life the exact time that I needed it. The first family that I was preventing foreclosure for was my own parents, 3 months into learning real estate investing. So my mom was like, oh, we got to call one of those We Buy Houses signs, because they moved to Indiana, rented out the home that we lived in growing up, bought a new home after they were done with Indiana, rented out the home, like I said, where we grew up. It was trashed. They didn't have the ability to pay 2 mortgages. The guy stopped paying. We evicted him. And I had a conversation with my dad. I don't know about y'all's dad, but my dad doesn't like to admit things. He's just like that. And so I had to really have a serious conversation with him. How much equity you have? This, and this. But my best advice for him was, hey, take some money out of your 401k, rent-proof this house, which just simply means LVP flooring, get rid of the carpet, you know, make this easy turnaround for the next person. And he's like, no, we just need this out of my life, because he had a giant brain aneurysm. I don't know what's going on in the Dodge family right now, but he almost died. And I'm like, okay, let me run the numbers on a fix and flip. To this day, Richard, those are tight numbers. Like, I did what I had to do to help my parents. It was insane. And so one thing that kind of saved me in that scenario was that I did enroll some family members for help. We took care of the outside of the property for free. And then the inside, we paid a general contractor that gave us a slight discount as well. But we came out with $30,000 in profit on that first deal. And what does a good son do? I could have just kept the money. I helped my parents. I saved their credit. They wouldn't have the disabled van that they have today for handicapped people if it wasn't for me preventing that foreclosure. But what does a good son do? A good son puts new Mickey Thompson tires on his truck and then gives the rest to mom and dad. So I got the first deal out of the way, and it was a nightmare, Richard. It was bad. Like, there is not a fix and flip that can intimidate me moving forward. So I'm thankful for getting pushed into my first deal. It was very scary, but after that, it just became easy.
All right, so then let me ask you a question. You know, Sergeant Joe Snuffy, you know, father of three, veteran, 20-year military man, just getting out of the military, wants to get involved in real estate, doesn't have a whole lot of money. How does somebody like that start out?
Okay, so you got to learn from experts. All right, this is what's called the rabbit hole, folks. This is where your scarcity mindset controls you. And if nobody knows about scarcity mindset, I know Richard knows this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about scarcity mindset, and that's like something huge that everybody needs to read. So your mind is consistently in this scarcity mindset. Richard, what was I talking about?
We're talking about if Joe Snuffy wants to start it.
Okay, got it. So the rabbit hole, this is what you want to avoid. Books, podcasts, forums, and YouTube. So you have YouTube, right? These individuals are not vetted. You're going to find out that real estate investing is one of the most fake it to make it industries. It's disgusting. Everybody's an influencer, but they don't have the HUD statements to back it up. So here's YouTube. You have Joe Schmo over here telling you one thing, and then you have Joe Schmo over here in this video telling you another thing, and it's conflicting information leading you down a rabbit hole of research and not doing deals. All right? That creates fear whenever you don't have the support. Let's talk about books. So whenever it comes to books, you could pick up a book in Texas about lease options 12 years ago. You go out there and you try to implement that strategy today, you might as well just walk yourself down to jail. So information needs to be current, like new laws in Oklahoma about wholesaling, new laws in Chicago about wholesaling, those sorts of things. And let's talk about forums. I've never seen so many ignorant people in one place. Right? You have real estate agents that have maybe listed 2 properties in their entire life talking to you as if they're an expert. It's disgusting. And those are the people that I'm protecting, Richard. I'm making sure that people don't spend the next 10 years of their life trying to do this on their own whenever they can have a direct path. And that direct path, folks, has to be individuals that lead by example. Look, if somebody's trying to talk real estate to you and they haven't done more real estate than you, it should go in one ear and directly out the other. That's like me taking financial advice from my parents. It's just not a good idea, right? So always make sure that if you want to verify that somebody's done deals, folks, you look at what's called a HUD statement. That's HUD, a HUD statement. That's how you would verify if somebody's done a real estate transaction or not. And if they hold up a check that says, hey, there's $100,000 on this deal, you don't know if the private money had come out of there yet, right? You don't know if that's the actual profit of the deal. So don't get sucked in to the promises out there. If you see these little mini courses on Facebook, the people pitching their stuff, the last one that I seen is you're going to do your first 12 deals in your first 12 months with my team. That is a promise, and that's illegal. You cannot promise somebody that. Right? Okay, I promise you the world. Like I can't promise somebody that. And so the fake it to make it, you have to stay away from. You need to get with individuals that lead by example. And Richard, do you want me to lead them down the road to where they can link up with me?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, I don't know a lot about real estate. So if I have questions, I reach out to you. I reach out to Keith McGeever. I mean, from Battle Buddy podcast. I reach out to Chris Griffith. I reach out to people that know more than I do because you guys already put in the 10,000 hours. And I think that's where
something, Richard? I reach out to Chris. I reach out to Chris every once in a while. Why? Because I don't really deal with mortgage. So sometimes I ask Chris Griffith really stupid questions because I haven't really dabbled in that class or that block of instruction that we provide. And I never really had to deal with it at that level. But I had a stupid question about a VA loan. And Chris got right back to me. And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry. Sometimes my brain just, that's the beauty of a network, right, brother? That's what it is.
Like I said, if you have any questions about any VA loans, go to Vetted VA, Chris Griffith, a great brother of mine. But like I said, if I got questions, my brother Keith helped me sell my mom's house. So if I didn't have Keith giving me advice, I wouldn't be able to do the right thing. If I don't have you to be able to reach out and say, bro, I'm struggling with this, please help me. And I think that's the big part of being a veteran is sometimes you're afraid to reach out and ask for help. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
All right. So
now for the people that are wanting to learn how to be a real estate investor, how to transact, one of my biggest things, brother, is for people to stay away from free, right? Even if it's not getting started with me, I will tell them to go here, here, and here that has nothing to do with me, but it's a paid source so they can put themselves around those individuals that invested in themselves.
And I love that, like my friend Russell Brunson talks about, people that pay attention. So if people ain't paying, they're not going to do stuff for free because they're getting it for free. So tell us a little bit about Centex REIG behind you. What is that all about?
So really, nobody ever has to brand themselves in real estate investing. Since I'm more in the mentoring space, that stands for Central Texas Real Estate Investors Group. Now, I work with folks in all 50 states, but we just happened to be very young in business whenever we fired up this entity, and we keep that as our local entity, right? We do have another entity that we're unfolding here soon that's going to be more of a national brand because sometimes people are like, what's Centeri? I'm like, I know. Central Texas Real Estate Investors Group. And so that's just the name that we use to round up the soldiers here in Central Texas to get to our trainings, to grow our real estate ecosystem and to change lives. And also every once in a while, I have to tell the sellers, hey, what's my company? And then I'll be like Centex REIG Inc. And you can go ahead and look me up. Everything that you're going to see about me is mainly going to be in the mentoring space. But having something over years like that Facebook page that just shows simple stuff. I don't even look at my following on there. It's like 1,500 people. It's only there as like a journal, right? People can go back to it. They can reference it. They can see kind things that are said. They can see properties that are being done. There's really no need to have a brand in real estate. You're selling yourself. You are the solution, not Central Texas Real Estate Investors Group. So there's that, not so important in real estate. But that's my S corporation that owns LLCs. And then you have a trust that owns the S corp and all that good stuff. Make sure everything's locked up tight. Your generational wealth can't just slip out right underneath you over one person that's disgruntled.
All right. So now, like I said, this is not only a veteran podcast. This is a Vetprenuer podcast. So what would be your top 3 pieces of business information that somebody could start using today to start getting better at investing, but also as becoming a vetpreneur?
Yeah. So number one thing, Think and Grow Rich. The scarcity mindset has to be handled. I'm telling you, that is step 1, ground zero. Take care of your scarcity mindset. I know so many vetpreneurs that are like little crybabies whenever they find out something costs money. That is ridiculous. Those folks will not see success until they change what's going on up here. Okay. All right. Number 2 is to be coachable. You took care of your scarcity mindset. Now, whenever you're getting into an industry that you're exploring, you're fired. You just fired yourself. You're a private. You just got busted down to private, right? You learned to follow before you could lead. That's how it is whenever you're working with me and the individuals that I work with across the nation. Just stand in line. Follow the leader. That's it. The problem is, folks, is that the definition of leader these days is a little misconstrued, right? Because a lot of people leave out that one part that says lead by example, which means that I outshot my soldiers. I outran my soldiers. I mean, they'd come back from PT just throwing up, and I'd be like, I did my job. Right? And that's the same thing that you got to find in real estate, folks. You got to find somebody out there just making it happen. And don't worry about anybody else. Latch on to somebody that's making it happen. All right, so be coachable. And then the third one, let's see here. It would obviously be take action, right? So invest. What's the first one? Invest in between your 2 ears right here. And that doesn't just mean scarcity mindset. Like, I'm talking learning real estate investing. You should be doing that. And then what was the second one I laid out?
You were talking about, the last one I think is the most important one, is taking action. Because I know people that have 800 books that they've taken, 40 courses that they've taken, and they've never taken one action step. You know, they're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the next book by Ed Milet or the next book by Gary Vaynerchuk, but they don't take action. So I think the most important thing is, like, when we have our Thursday meetings, I see everybody that Thursday afternoon taking action on what we talked about. So I think,
right.
The best thing you said out of the whole thing was you got to take action, because action without, knowledge without action is worthless.
Right. I agree. Taking action it's insanely important. And that's what causes people not to take action. That's lack of knowledge. That's lack of support. That's lack of money, right? Those things create fear, which prevents you from taking action. That's why the rabbit hole holds people back. It creates fear and keeps people from taking action. Whenever you have the right knowledge and the right network, for example, hey, Richard is an expert real estate investor. He's the best out there. And you developed a relationship with him. Maybe you bought into some paid education with Richard. And then you've got Richard's time, right? You're like, hey, Richard, what do you think about this? And Richard's going to be like, no, what are you thinking? This is why. Or he's going to be like, I love this part. I love doing this. Hey, what are you thinking? Come on, girl. Get that thing under contract. Let's go. Shoot first, aim later. And that is what it is in real estate, folks. Shoot first, aim later. You always have an option period. You can get out of that contract, right? Should put the property under contract first, figure out the rest later, right? Now, don't get yourself into a contract that you can't get out of, because then you have a problem.
Yeah. So last question is, how do we find you? How do we support your mission? How do we become mentored by you if we need mentorship?
Right. Okay, so go to realestateisthebest.com, and there's no www. All right. So go to realestateisthebest.com and then click on introduction and book an introduction. Now, those specific introductions aren't with me only, because I do mine on different days. So you could reach out to me, but the same individual in my life that has changed my life the most, I consider him my business daddy, Scott Rowe. You will get on an introduction with him just like I did after reading some stupid Craigslist ad, and we'll go from there. That's an information gathering session. There is no, oh, wait, there's more with our group. There is no, hey, whenever the webinar's done, break out your credit cards. It's an information gathering session. So you guys should definitely go to it. You're going to learn some real estate, and you can at least formulate a plan from there.
Okay. And Ryan, I love it. So last question, and I know I don't normally ask this, but because we've been friends for so long, what is your, opinion on the Warrior Council and especially Marshall?
So Marshall is an incredible person, right? I mean, you guys, I have a special talent, and there's a lot of people that'll vouch for me. I know when somebody's good. I know when somebody's bad. I know when somebody's full of crap, and I know when they're being real. Marshall is a good person. Marshall is a performer. Marshall is somebody that you want to be around. How about that? And then the Warrior Council is full of individuals like that just as well. And they're individuals that often think with a different side of their brain, right? Everybody is different. So whenever I get with Andy in the council, who's an attorney, he certainly thinks from the other side of his brain. Or I get with one of our analytical guys, right? That are just, Nathan's analytical, isn't he?
Yep. Clark is in it. Clark is one of those people too.
So you guys, those people are complete opposite of me, but I get so much value from them because they think literally with the different side of the brain. And that's whenever I'm telling you, it only takes one sentence come out of one of these guys' mouths that change your business and your life forever. I've been doing these morning meetings in real estate investing for the past 8 years, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I keep showing up to those meetings because I know that it takes one sentence to change everything.
I love
That's
it.
How the Warrior Council is.
And I love the Warrior Council, and thank you guys for letting us be the official podcast of the Warrior Council. So guys,
Yes,
if you're a veteran and you want to be an entrepreneur, go to Facebook, type in Vetprenuer Tribe. You're not going to be, you got 16,500 veterans that are entrepreneurs. There's somebody bound to be in your space. Become a part of the group. Yep. And become a part of the group. And like they always say, even, Lane, and even when Steven was owning the group, give more than you take. And you're going to be great, because then you got 16,000 people all on the same mission as you are to change the world through business. So definitely, Ryan, brother, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I like the bald head, by the way. I think it looks good. You look like a cool Lex Luthor, so I like it.
Well, I don't like it. So, and everybody hears this. Listen to this one more thing about the Warrior Council. All of you are good enough for it. Do not ever think that anybody is any better than you, because I'm Hot Mess Express. You can ask any of the council members, but they don't give up on me, right? They don't give up. We don't give up on each other. So all of you are good enough to be in the Warrior Council. Thank you, Richard. God bless you, sir. And I so appreciate you for being able to allow me to hop on here.
I love it. All right, guys. So remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing week. Ryan, brother, I'll see you Thursday. I can't wait to hang out and talk about what we talked about today.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys later.